Welcome to another episode of Zombie Apocalypse Diaries. I'm going to talk about the Malaysian airline issue. I I have memory issues, as does everybody else in the world. Um, but my memory issues I'm aware of, and wow. So I read a story that I was trying to do some research on when the Malaysian airline disappeared, because I thought, oh well, I felt what I thought was an earthquake this morning. Looked at the earthquake map, and that led me to think, well, if the plane had crashed on land, there might be some seismic evidence. So I thought, well, I'll just research and see if there's any seismic evidence. There wasn't. But then as I was researching it, I saw two things. I saw first there was a story where out of Vietnam, an oil rig worker reported in an email to his employer that he saw a plane in the sky burning, that it was either going away from him or toward him because there was no lateral movement, but it burned and it was in the air in flames for 10 to 15 seconds. Well, that makes the most sense, because also, early on in this story, one of the first things that happened was Vietnam reported they got a signal from the plane. A transponder beacon or something like that. But they couldn't find anything. Well, that confirms a hell of a lot of everything. I mean, that makes the most sense. The plane exploded midair, burned, crashed. There was nothing to crash. It was all burned. So maybe the black box and the transponder fell, but the signals were only emitted while they were falling until they'd hit the water or something like that. Maybe that's why it was only transmitting for a brief period of time, because they said they couldn't find it. We don't know how deep the waters are there. I could certainly find out. But the trick is going to be trying to find out where this oil rig is and whatnot. But what strikes me is that they're doing all this stuff of chasing radar signatures. Okay, so we have a plane flying over the South Sea, over the sea between Vietnam and China. That's a disputed area. There's a lot of potential military conflict going on there. There's a lot of conflict going on between China, Vietnam, Thailand, all those countries. Even Malaysia is involved. The plane was traveling back from Malaysia to China. It was carrying artists. May or may not be anything. But there was mostly Chinese people on that plane. That was 122 out of the 300 and something were Chinese. So by far the majority of the people on that plane were Chinese. So here's the thing: this second radar signature. This other radar signature, or this radar signature, they said that indicated the plane turned around and headed back 1,000 feet lower in altitude than it was before. Maybe what happened was the stealth fighter lost its stealth capabilities somehow after hitting the jet with a missile, possibly by flying through the debris field and getting carbon on top of the anti-radar reflecting or non-reflecting surfaces, and produced a signature. Who knows? I don't know. Speculation. But, who would have the capability of having a jet that could avoid radar detection, shoot down a plane, and then be detectable, sort of. They're talking about a radar signature, but they're not telling us what it was. So yeah, I'm thinking that the plane was shot down. I'm thinking it was shot down from the air, and that the plane that shot it down was tracked going back to Malaysia. So now what we need to do is find out where their military bases are in that flight path. So I'm going to go do that right now on Google Maps. God love it. I'm going to do news research with Google fucking Maps. Fuck you, Google. And I'm going to find out what happened to this plane. And I'm going to find out who shot it down. And I think what I'm going to find is that there's an American military base right in that line of where that plane went and where the one went down. Why would we shoot down a commercial jet? Oh, why would we start a civil war in Syria? Why would we start a coup, a violent coup by fascists in Ukraine? Why would we do any of the things we do? We're trying to start World War III. Look for that coming up, okay? This is going to be blamed on somebody, probably Muslim terrorists, but we all know who it really was. And I think this is going to end up being the act of aggression that gets us into the war. And because it was acted upon against, because we acted against China, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I figured I'd get you what I do know while I could, or while I was thinking about it.